So real quickly, I mean, language is so important, but you right away, you've just made two discernments when it comes to your language. So earlier I was like, you're busy, you said, no, I'm active. And you're saying, no, I'm not working, I'm being active. So right away, people think language doesn't matter. Oh, it's a word, it's 4-letter word, busy or work or active or whatever, 6 letters. But it does make a huge difference, right? Because all the connotations, and then you make it think, oh, I'm working too much. All your friends say, you're working. No, I'm active. And then you tell your own self a dialogue and you defeat yourself, right?
Yeah.
So it's important to get those terms right.
Work, when you feel work, you feel resistance. Energetically, perception-wise, work is hard. Activity isn't. Activity you get paid for certainly isn't.
Right.
Right? If you're maximizing that activity mathematically, I always laughed at when they gave me those awards. I said, I'm embarrassed because I really didn't hit my number. They said, what are you talking about? You did $1 million. Your comp plan was 250. I said, yeah, but I worked 10 years in 9 months. Right? I worked 64 hours of productivity a day, 7 days a week.
So how did you do that?
So literally, couple rules. One, I started living with values. Now they weren't as clear as they are now because, as you'll find out, when I lost everything, I really got honed in on my values. But I was naturally grateful, forgiving. I wasn't as accountable as I was later on in life, but I was inspired. Naturally inspired dude. Like everything to me was a competition. It was more in a scarce energy that I was inspired. I was always inspired to compete.
Right.
And so, number one, sticking to my values of living with gratitude. I was just thankful. I was so poor. I remember staying in my first hotel room and it was like someone gave me $1 billion. I couldn't believe I had my own hotel room, or I had an expense account for $25 a day for food. I was so grateful because I didn't always have money to eat, right? I literally was so grateful. Even when I was making tons of money, I was just such a grateful. And then I was born with 6 siblings, or 5 siblings, 6 of us. I'm a very forgiving person for what I did and for what they did. And so first was a value. Second was I was born to ask. All these people around me, including football players later on in my life, you don't get unless you ask. I really was learning to ask 2 questions. How could I provide value? And more importantly, I was really good at asking people for help when I was young. Do you know anyone that could help me? I'm looking for a fellowship with Major League Baseball. I'm looking to go to the best law school. I'm looking for that professor. And so
you posted 2 questions on your Instagram feed recently, which was, what can I do to help? Well, how can I add value? And do you know anyone that can help me?
Yeah, that's
Those are weird. It took me a while to read those 2 questions because they don't look like they go together. Because one is you giving things, and then one is you're asking. But I guess you're asking for someone to help you give.
Correct. That's where giving and receiving became one to me, which motivated me because you'll find out when I lost everything, the giving was for me, the receiving was for me, and I had a lot of guilt. I had a lot of interference and corrosion to the connection that inspired me. I didn't feel worthy of what I had. When your mom makes $17,000 a year and you've made $10 million in a year, there's a lot of connectivity that has to happen. But early on, I was more money driven. Money bought happiness. And I truly believe that. Money bought happiness because I was super happy. Parlayed, we sold that company, and I was the youngest executive there for $3.4 billion in '95.